Campbell's comments now, trying something different on a very, very chilly June afternoon. Blanche Poole, hello.
Hi, Paul again.
We've been doing a few things, and we alluded to this in our interview the other day, and I must say thank you and well done. I've had a lot of great feedback from that
good.
for you, so congratulations with that.
Thanks.
And the ENDAF. One of the things you wanted to talk about in that was the evolution, I suppose, of how things have changed in your time since, I suppose, being with horses, because your whole journey's been about these young horses and how it's evolved.
Yep.
And one of the key ways you learn is seeing how other people do it, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
And also then you evolve things and go from there. So we're going to try something different. Now, hopefully this works. You'll definitely get our words because we're recording this right now. But the idea is Blanche has videoed Gypsy Flair's Volstead foal, which is out here.
Yep.
Is that one there?
He's just
over there.
Bottom to us right now.
Over the back. And the weaning process. And so what I'm hoping to do, so if this has worked properly, I will hopefully overlap the video over the top. If not, if it's only in the corner, you're going to see myself and Blanche basically talking through this video as it goes. But if it goes up, people will be able to at least get an understanding of what it is.
Yep.
This is not steadfast how you think everyone should do it. This is how you do it and what works for you.
That's
and what I want to do going forward is perhaps show how other people do it through their journey.
Yeah, perfect.
So we'll start the video, and this is here in your stables here.
So luckily we've got, we've built this place to accommodate what we do, obviously. So the crushes inside are for mares and foals to come in when I'm doing the AI and scanning and stuff. So they're also really handy to have when we're doing the weaning. So the first lot of handling that Paul can see here is I'm just trying to gain trust with the foal in the crush beside its mother.
So they're just in the crush, and you've sent me quite a few of those over the thing. So when you say gain its trust, basically you're just rubbing your hands. And interesting, you've got gloves on. You don't bareskin gloves. Doesn't make.
It doesn't make any difference. Sometimes I've got no gloves. Sometimes I've got gloves. I'm just a bit of a wuss and don't like.
On a day like today,
burning.
don't worry. If anyone can hear chatter, it's actually my teeth, but it's okay. But that's the idea. And talking or not talking.
Yeah, I'm just quietly talking to them. Like they've been through the crushes a couple of times with their mums, obviously. Sometimes we might lay a hand on them as they come through. Some of them might not, we might be too busy to do anything at all with them. So yeah, it's a good tool to have, a crush, if you've got one. But if you don't, you can do achieve the same thing in a small yard with their mother and just, go to a corner and sort of pin them there and start rubbing them over. So.
Just with yourself, you said there some of them you try to make sure the foals have been through it maybe once or twice before you do this process, like for your own.
It doesn't. I've found it doesn't really matter. Like there's been some that I've already done that didn't come into the crushes at all, only to get branded. So not a not a nice experience.
Yep.
So yeah, they still. They've been through at least once, I suppose, but yeah, it's not necessarily needed to be through lots of times before I attempt doing this.
And your goal here, like you're just still rubbing your hands, you're up behind her head there at the minute, but your goal is basically just hands on as much as you can. Are you looking for any signs? Yeah,
so some of the signs that I'm looking for, so I've gone from being outside the crush. We've got a side door as well on our crushes, the front and back doors. So I've gone through the side door and I try and keep a hand on them like all the time, even when I've got both hands moving around them. There's always one part of my body that's still touching them. So I'm rubbing around their face and rubbing around their ears and their neck and their shoulder, and I might go back over their rump and stuff as well. But all of this is only on the one side to begin with.
Now you're moving to the head. Is that something that just I noticed she brought the head back to you. So
I'm just looking for little signs like them not freaking out. Obviously, they will start to want to sniff you and smell you. They might start licking and chewing, so that's often a sign that they're relaxing. So then I just bring the headstall, and you'll see this in a moment when you're watching. So I've already rubbed the side of her face. She's never seen the headstall before. It's just been hanging in front of her. So I'm just quietly popping it over her nose and then doing it up from the side. So I like to do it that way too. I don't like going, like I'll have my hand over their neck and bringing the headstall up from underneath. I don't like putting it on their nose first because if they get a fright and try and pull back or rear up, then they might hurt themselves, and I don't want that to happen.
And then you're out once you've got the headstall on, you're
Yep.
happy just to leave it?
Yep, so now I've just moved back to the outside. So now I'm going to move around to the front of the foal, still talking to them, letting them have a smell, sniffing, all that
Didn't
sort of
seem
stuff.
to worry about the headstall at all.
No.
And that's the first time.
Yep, that was the first time she's ever had a headstall on. So Mum, you can see Mum's right beside her there too, so she's a reassuring influence also.
Does it make a difference, and we're going to keep on to what you're doing,
Yep.
but Gypsy's, like this is not the first foal Gypsy's had and weaned through your process. Does it make a difference to the mares who understand as it goes on?
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yep.
There's been a few maiden mares, and they're also good because they don't actually know what's going on, so they don't freak out too much. But yeah, it does help to have a mare that's
Understands the process.
Yeah. So now I've just moved to the other side of the foal.
And resented it a bit,
Yep,
like you put
she
her head
was-
away?
Because they can't use both sides of their brain at the same time. So you need to repeat everything you do on one side, do it on the other side as well.
And so that's your goal, is to get
Yep.
back in there and
Yep.
hands over as, like,
Yep.
when you're on the outside or when you had room to go, you can go further. Do you try to go that far, or it's just what
If they'll let you.
Yep.
If they don't, I don't stress about it. This whole first interaction with me is to try and gain their trust and not let them freak out about it. So I'm only pushing them as far as I think they want to go. Some people might think, oh, this is taking forever. But I've just found that over the years, like I used to do it completely different and have done it different nearly every year. I'll find something that I try or read about or through natural horsemanship or something, and I think, oh, I'll try that and see if it works, and if it works, great, and then my whole thing might change. And I've changed also with the where I am, with the facilities that I have to do the stuff in.
So you're still going about her here at the minute, and if you're going to go to another stage, please jump in.
Yep.
And not being rude, your facilities are modest. They are definitely not over the
No,
top.
you don't need
You're
to
in
have
a
anything flash.
garden shed that everyone would have, but it's decked out well. I'm
Yep.
being trying to.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
you don't need the state of the art equipment. Like
No,
a
you
good
don't.
crush that you can
Yep.
work around, though, is probably
Yeah.
essential.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if we're lucky enough for you guys to be seeing the video, what I'm doing now is a lot of stuff at her head.
Yep.
So I'm not putting any pressure on the rope yet through the headstall.
And walking backwards and
Yep.
forwards. Yep.
So what I'm doing is walking out of her space and then coming back into her space and patting her on the head. Walking out of her space and coming back in. Some of them will try and bury their heads over with their mum. So you want to get them to a stage where they don't want to do that anymore.
And just open the gate up.
Yep. So then once I feel that they're not worried about me walking into their space, I'll open the door. So that's more space that they can see me coming into. So the idea is that when we get out into the yard, I'm able to, if they freak out about something, I'm able to walk into their space, give them a pat, reassure them, and walk back out. Yeah. So the front door's open. She's not trying to escape.
No. Do they?
No.
No.
In a little while, she'll want to walk forward. That's fine. I'll let her. Some
Yep.
of them don't even want to walk forward. I've got to get in beside them and encourage them to walk out. So the little area in front of the crushes there is all gate. Like I can close it all in. So it's just a little area out the front that's got enough room for a mare to walk out and turn around and walk out the door. But we can close that door, so it's all closed in. So Mum's still in the crush. They can walk forward if they want to. I'm not quite ready for her to do that yet. I want her to sort of drop her head, be happy for me to keep walking up to her and walking away and walking up, and then when she feels comfortable, she'll walk out.
You say dropping her head. She dropped it just there before. But what you want is when you walk up to her, not to lift that head up.
Yep. And I don't want her to turn her head away. I don't want her to be ignoring me. She's got to be paying attention to what we're doing.
And that area you said there before, and I will get some footage, and I'll probably, if this video is working as good as what it is, I'll put that footage at the end of it. But I was marvelling at that. You sent me some other messenger ones, some of the others that you did.
Yep.
And I said before about it being modest, but it's purpose built. It's what you want, how you want it,
Yeah.
and it makes life so much easier.
Yeah.
Because of that confined area. But for mine, it doesn't look an intimidatingly tight area for any of the horses.
It's just enough room for when we get out in front that they can still turn around and get back to mum, but they get to know that there's someone else on the end of the lead or on the end of the rope, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm right there with them. They don't need to worry, be scared of me or worry about me at all.
You're putting, I might be wrong, but are you putting a touch of pressure on her just there?
Sometimes I do. If they start to turn their head away, I'll just give it a little bit of pressure, and that way they can learn that they don't have to fight that pressure, that it's okay. All I'm trying to do is get them to face their head towards me.
Yep. So in a nice gentle way, and just try. Are you trying to coax her out now?
Yeah, I think I was at that stage.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember.
No.
So here I am. I'm about to go in beside her, I think, and just try and coax her to come out that way. She didn't want to walk forward whilst we were there, but that's okay. Either. I'm not worried if they want to come forward with me in front or want to walk out beside me. So hopefully soon she'll
and again,
walk out.
this is one of those things that works for you. There'll be some people sitting there and saying, just go up and put your arm around them and they'll come forward and think this is the way that Blanche Poole and Dean and Rhiannon Park pretty much do.
Yeah.
And I'm actually enjoying this. I know, and I hope it does work as good as what I'm hoping it was. So basically that horse now can run out of there if it wants to.
Yeah.
But she's not being piggy. It's not like she's saying, I'm going to lay down. She's actually very comfortable in the surroundings.
She's just like, oh, this is quite nice. I'm quite happy to stand here with this lady patting me and doing stuff. I'm not freaking out about it. And Mum's right there and she's not worried about it. So I don't think I need to worry.
And the head carriage is down and out she comes.
Yep. Out she comes. Now, because it's a small area out there, it doesn't matter. Like, I've got an extremely long rope. So it doesn't matter if she wanders around. She can't go anywhere.
So that's one of those things right now. There's no goal on stopping her, or
no pressure on her head. You probably can't see anything at the minute
that's
we couldn't
okay
change
though.
The camera.
Yep.
So yeah, now that I've got her out in front, I'm just repeating what we did in the small space of the confined crush. So I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on her head, but basically I'm letting her walk where she wants to, but I'm trying to stay out in front of her.
And judging what I just saw then, you don't care where she stops when you go back into her space, as long as you can get that opportunity to do it.
Yep.
And you did say she was exceptionally quick at this one.
Yep.
And we go to the next stage in a sec, but she actually took to this very, very well.
No, she was really good with this first session, and eventually after this we'll go out into the yard and you'll see what happens in the yard to get, like, my main objective of the first day is to just gain their trust and get them to a stage where in the slightly bigger yard they'll walk away from their mum with me and turn around and walk quietly back to their mothers. And
so we say first day, and we're going to leave this video still just going for a little bit longer, but we will go to the yard. Actually, Blanche has just turned right around, so we'll get a good look now. So, and I think you've done a great job, because you say you're not tech savvy, but you're actually you've done a very, very good job here. And now she's going to go backwards. This is literally the first day they've come into the yards, fed together that night, and then they come in here to the crush basically day one. So how many do you do at a group at once?
So I've been doing sort of 12 together.
Wow.
But this first day, sometimes I might only get half done. So then I'll do, I might do sort of 6 to 7 in the first day, and then on the second day I'll repeat that, but I might start the next group, or I might do the next 6 or 7 on the second day, but then catch them all up together, because the second day is actually a lot faster. It's it's just walking around.
But this first day is the most important.
Yep, for me it is. And if this one takes, if it takes me 3/4 of an hour to do one foal to get them to a stage where they'll happily walk away from mum and walk back, so be it. I only get 4 done that day then.
Yeah.
So it's just,
and that's all you're after here, is just trying to get to not panic away from mum. Mum's there, still sniffing mum and all the rest.
Yeah.
Walking into the space, and then also following the pressure of that head stall from time to time.
Yeah. So basically just turning her in small circles, and just bringing her head round to where I am, and hopefully she'll follow me. Sometimes they don't. I'm not stressed. Like, if I start to stress that they're not doing exactly what I want, that's only going to rub off on them. So I've just found that if I just stay nice and calm, and, you know, it doesn't matter if you walk over to the other side, I'll walk with you and I'll give you a pat, and it's basically just getting them used to me being around them no matter where I am.
And you go back to just then you went back to rubbing again, like so that first initial contact is that rubbing, especially where you were on that horse, and that's just trying to get the confidence back. And again, there on the head.
Lots of stuff on the head, because that's like eventually when we get out in the yard and we're finished doing the walking around, I'm going to need to take the headstall off. So if I haven't patted her on the head, then that's going to take me a long time and probably have to bring her back into the crush with her mum to do it. So I want her to do it when we get out there.
While we're still on this, just a plain normal standard headstall. I think you have a rope one on one of the others, but
mostly they're just a standard little headstall. You can use, like, those little rope halters are great because they do apply a little bit more pressure on the pole, which is what you need to get them to move forward. But I found these little cheap headstalls are fine.
So you're comfortable now, obviously, because Mum's getting unclipped?
I'm happy that she's doing what I want her to do. She's happy for me to be around her and not panicking, and that's the main thing.
And she's camera shy.
Yeah, look at her. She's looked right into the camera then.
She's like her other sisters. She's going to have to get used to having a photo taken.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so she needs it. We must remember this is Gypsy Flair. It's a Volstead filly. So out of Gypsy Flair, who was Broodmare of the Year 2021, actually, I must say. But I don't think it'll be the last time she'll do that either. She's done a great job in the breeding barn.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things about it. She's quite a valuable mare to yourself and to Dean. So you're not showing us on just a little one. She's getting a little bit angry there.
Yeah, she was just a bit worried because I was about to start to open the door, so it was a bit of a noise that was happening. Now Caitlin's kindly grabbing the.
I was going to say, all of a sudden now the camera's moving. So
So I'm opening the door and there's bright lights, but that's okay.
The dull light, is that something that you think works, or is it just the way the shed's laid out?
Just the way the shed's laid out. I don't think it matters if, like, she's just worried about, and I'm not stressing out about that. Like, that's no big deal that she wants to turn around. It doesn't matter that the rope's gone over her neck.
Because there won't be the pressure.
Yeah. So I'm just flipping that back off her. And
Mum helps?
Yep. I use them as a bit of a buffer. Like, I'm going to lead Mum and baby at the same time. We've got the door open now. I'm just slowly walking Mum forward, like she's done this a few times, so she knows what to do, and then letting the baby come out with us.
And that change of surface sometimes can really throw a young one out, can't it, off concrete onto ground?
And we had a nice muddy area there, full of water.
So again, this area is not overly big though?
No, this is just a small yard, and because of the water that was in it, we actually have to move to a different yard, so you'll see that in the next little video. Yeah,
and this one's about to stop because I'm looking at the time down the bottom, but normally you would continue on in this yard if it wasn't as wet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and that's, I suppose, one of the things, like you said, this is your way, the way you do it. You've got to evolve with your facilities, but also with...
Yeah, I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it, and lots of people have different ways of doing stuff, and like the end result should be what we're all wanting to achieve.
A successful horse.
Yeah, is a nice quiet little horse that wants to do stuff with us. So basically when we get out in the yard, all I wanted to do is follow me and Mum around and around in circles.
And this, again, is all in the same day. So this video just finished, or is about to finish, I'd say now. So, and it's all basically in the same day. So the next video is about to start.
Yep. So I'll just flip over to that one.
Got to go the right way, Blanche does. So she's got to... So this is her again.
We've made it into sort of a medium-sized yard.
So people will be saying, "Oh, how did you get through?" Basically, it's
just a little laneway all the way down. So I've
and you just had to get out of the water, basically. That was the main reason.
So I've just walked in front of...
Is this the yard behind us?
No, not the one right behind us, but it is. We can pan across there later, and you can see. It's just basically walking with Mum. So the foal is following Mum. And is also following me at the same time. So Mum's kind of teaching them a little bit too. Like Mum's saying, look, it's okay to follow this human. You just keep walking around. And I just make little circles so that the circle that I turn the mare in turns the foal as well.
So you just took Mum to the foal though?
Yeah.
So
it was just starting to get ahead of us a little bit. So I just kind of went to where it was so that the rope wasn't too tight. It's quite important not to put too much pressure on their head at this stage.
Yep.
Because they're just going to fight it. They don't understand.
Yep.
And so the only pressure is when I just wanted to walk forward a couple of steps, and it's really important that once they take a step, it doesn't matter what way, sideways, whatever, that you reward them by letting that pressure go.
Yep, and giving to them, and then again here, mum's been taken back.
Yep.
But I would imagine at some stage that obviously changes because
Yeah. So pretty soon, I'll do a couple of laps. So what I'm trying to get her to do is just when I put a little bit of pressure on that headstall, she walks forward. And then once, see there, she just doesn't really want to, but I just keep walking around with mum.
Not taking mum out of her comfort space, more or less.
Yep. And it's also important too that don't be so hung up on wanting to pull them forwards, because even a foal at this size, I'm a tall lady, but I'm by no means
Strong
a muscle
enough.
woman. There's no way I could pull a foal forward if it didn't want to come with me. So all I'm trying to get her to do is take a step. So whether that's sideways, it doesn't matter. So if I've got to, I'll walk to the side.
But the difference in that stride just then to the one to just go back, and people can rewind the video. As I said, hopefully this all works.
Yeah.
But just then continue that walk on where you wanted it to. Whereas a lap before you had to take mum back and around, whereas all of a sudden straighten up. So you can automatically see.
Yeah. So now I'm just tying mum up.
All right. So you'll tie mum up.
Yep. And now we're going to start to do the same little circles away from mum and coming back to mum. So see lots of patting on the head and stuff too, like
So
reassuring
sort of
her.
almost back to that crush.
Yep. So all I'm asking you to do is take a step sideways. Good baby. So it's pretty simple. So just a little circle, still going round.
Not far from mum.
No, not far from mum. Doesn't worry me. I'm still coming and being able to come into her space. Give her a little push on the bottom to make her turn herself around.
And I'd imagine that stride's there the easiest ones because it's back to mum, but that gives them the knowledge of what you're after.
That's it. Yep. And then we just keep making that circle a little bit bigger and bigger every time. It's just important not to fight with them. I don't want this day to be a bad experience for them. And I just want it to be nice and easy for me too.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to fight with her. I'm just trying to get her to take a step somewhere. It doesn't matter where it is. She wants to go back to mum. That's okay. We'll use that to my advantage. I'll give her a good pat for moving. It doesn't matter where she's moved. And let's try and go the other way and see. She says, "Oh no, I'm not doing that."
Got quite hostile. Put the front foot up. Won't be the last time she does that either. Do you find gypsies, foals are smart?
They're pretty smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem to get it reasonably fast. So even though she's shaking her head and saying, "I don't really want to do this," but
she's
I
not
will.
distressed.
No,
she's not.
no.
She'll put the front foot out just then, but she's not stomping and she's not carrying on.
No, she's not trying to rear up and run away from me or run past me.
Are they signs that you say, right, that's enough?
Yeah. If I get to a
Look
stage
how far we got here.
where we can't get to what I want to achieve, I'll just try and end on a good note. So if I can end with, okay, if you've only done a small circle and come back to mum, but I can't get you to go any further, that'll do. Let's give you a big pat. We'll take the headstall off, and tomorrow you find that they're like, "Oh well, it wasn't quite so stressful, so I think I can walk away from mum a little bit further today."
So when you're doing that, and if you come to a different stage, you stop me. But what stage do you go back to the next day? Do they start back into the crush, or do you straight out?
Run through the crush, but I don't need to do all the patting and everything back again. It's just a quick pat over, put the headstall on, back out through the yards, and then we're back to this stage. But on the second day, we do more walking, so it's just not in the little yard with mum anymore. I'll open up the gates and walk into the bigger yard and then bring them back to mum. So it's
mum will still be there.
Mum's still there. Mum's still there for the first 4 days of handling.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So they'll go back every night and walk. And go from there. I said there she wasn't stomping the ground. She is now.
And sometimes there's a fine line between just pushing them a little bit too far and pissing them off.
Yep.
If I can use that word.
You can do whatever you like on this
You don't want to annoy them, but you want them to do what you want to do in quite a short space of time, because they're like little kids. Their attention span isn't very long. So you got to try and achieve what you need to achieve relatively quickly, without stressing them out and without me getting stressed too.
Yeah.
So.
And we must reiterate that too. This is in real time. Now, when I say real time, it's off the phone footage. But the idea when me and Blanche started this conversation, I wasn't sure where it would go and how we would do it.
Yeah.
But basically, we've been just watching this video. You said, we'll fast forward through parts and that.
Yeah.
But this is actually real time. So this is the amount of time that you did put into the gypsy flare on the first day.
Yeah.
And we've still got about another 3 and a bit minutes there. And we're going to watch it to its entirety.
Yeah,
because,
she's had a couple of little objections to turning, but that's okay. I'm not going to freak out about that. Like, because I've done so many over the years, I understand that, they're allowed to have their little tantrums, as long as they're not hurting themselves in the process. I just ignore it basically and just keep doing what I want them to do.
So one of the things right here, and it's right on cue for me, you're walking but you're actually facing her.
Yep.
A lot of people, when they try to walk horses, have to be at the shoulder and get them to walk.
Yep.
That's not a priority for you?
That's not a priority at this stage. The walking at the shoulder is basically, I only do that when they come in for yearling prep.
Yep.
Yeah, I want them to happily follow me wherever I'm going.
Yep.
So hopefully that means that they'll follow me onto a horse float. They'll follow me, into dark spaces. They'll follow me into the crush. And these are all the things that we do as we move along with them as well.
So right there, she's a fair way from mum, isn't she?
Yep. Yeah. Like she's a good, 4 or 5 metres. Like, that doesn't seem like a lot, but for them, that's a lot.
There'll be a lot of horse people will be saying, wow, that is like in one day, that's huge, because not for a lot of the non-horse people that might be watching this and, maybe not really sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Anything away from mum, full stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I've also found over the years, like getting them to move into your space is hard. So if you've got them up on a real short little lead and you're expecting them to walk forward, they won't do it. But if you take those couple of extra steps back and have a lead that's long enough...
Is that why you have such a long lead, that you can go as long as you need to?
Yep. And it's also handy for when I'm getting them out into the yard, if they do happen to get past me and run past their mum, I've got plenty of rope that I can just gather that back up.
I will recommend for any people out there that have never used them, they are because we use them at home, and you can't have enough rope when you've got young horses.
I know. And look, in an ideal world, we would be handling these babies when they're little foals, because that to me is the ultimate, like being able to do everything with them when they're real little, but we just don't have time. During the season, we're just that flat out. So
you're about to finish here, I think, looking at the timeline. So I'll let you talk about, you have actually just took the headstall off, and then mum's still tied up, but you just walk away?
Yep, just walk away, hang the rope and everything up, and then I'll come back and undo mum and pop them both in the yard, ready to go back to the paddock.
Yep, and the video's stopped there.
Yep.
So this one will be back on. Hopefully people have enjoyed it. Hopefully it all works as well as what it does, and I've been able to air it. I'm going to air it no matter what. It'll just be a matter of how people can view that video. The interesting part there, Blanche, what you said at the end was time, like you would rather do with young horses.
Yep.
So when you're saying this is a way that you like, it actually fits with you and Dean and Caitlin in your schedules as well. So that's one of the key components of it. And there might be some people out there that are frustrated with how they're doing it at the minute, because they've gone from having, say, 2 foals to maybe 20.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that could be a key pointer for them. But also, there's other people say, we handle them more as foals.
Yep.
It's something you'd like to do,
but
it ain't necessarily always that easy to do.
No, that's right. It's just a time thing. And I don't think it... I used to handle them, like when I was on some of the smaller places that I've worked on, we would try and handle the foals, when they were on their mums more, when they came through the crushes and stuff. I did try a little bit of foal imprinting. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, but one of the places I worked at, we had a classic Gary filly, and I handled her, did the foal imprinting, which is just basically as soon as they're born, like let the mother, and you have to have a quiet mum obviously to do this, but then go in and touch the foal all over and use plastic bags around their ears, and just it's kind of desensitizing them because they take in a heap of their environment in that first 24 hours. So if you can expose them to as many noises and as many touches and stuff in that first 24 hours, then you've pretty much set them up for life. So yeah, I did that with this little classic Gary filly. And yeah, like when she was just amazing, she just got it straight away. Like by the next day, I had a little headstall on her. I was leading her around. Because of the imprinting, it was great, but it's just so time consuming. Like you've got to do it for sort of 3/4 of an hour to an hour after they're born. So you can imagine if you're getting 9 a night, you're not going to do that. And even with us, you know, like I could do it then because I was on foal watch and I thought I'm just going to experiment, and I've read about this and I want to see if it works, and it really did with her. But yeah, it's not something that I've been able to keep doing, and I think if we get down to a more manageable number here, I might start doing stuff like that again. But when you've got to do breeding and stuff during the day as well, yeah, it's just a time
Isn't it
thing.
one of the funny parts though about how you measure something with horses? Because all that filly was a classic Gary, and anyone that's watching this who's not a harness person, classic Garys were nuts. Is probably they were great horses, but they were nuts. But she may have been that way. It's that measure and how things work, which gets back to us here and today and talking about the Volstead out of Gypsy Flair. So people will be able to follow her journey as well, and they'll be able to see how she goes. But basically, she's in the back here with 5 others. You've got a couple others over the other side, but eventually these guys will all group into one group. Yep,
correct. So this group, I think there's 9 fillies and 3 colts. So one of those colts goes home, but yeah, basically these ones, all these fillies will stay together, and there'll be a couple of fillies from another group go to them to make a group of 12.
Do the boys stay in?
Yeah, the boys will go. I've already weaned all the other boys, so they're in a group waiting for the other 2 to join them.
So you'll keep your boys with your boys, girls with your girls.
But yeah, it's it's been an evolution the way that we handle the foals.
Is this easier?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I think now I'm starting to get it to a stage where I'm really quite happy with the way it works.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of I think kindness and patience go a long way too when you're handling young horses. So yeah, like I'm actually quite proud of the way that we can get them to, like the second day is kind of cool too. Like I'll have them where I lead them out into that yard where you saw in the video before, and then I've actually got some, hopefully we can upload them as well, but I've got some time-lapse footage of what happens that next day. But what I do is tie the mare up in the yard, and then the foal is following me. So we go back up through the crush and outside, and then come back.
Right away from where they can even see the mare?
Yep. Yeah. And then that, if I can achieve that for that day where they walk away from mum into a bigger yard, and then they'll go through the crushes. So it's walking into a dark space, an enclosed area, and then walking back out. I stop them in the crush and give them a pat, and then walk back out again. So if I can achieve that in the second day, which doesn't take very long, it's a lot faster than the first day, then I'm happy. I'll let them go back with mum, back down the paddock they go till the following day.
So it might take 5-10 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the mares and foals are out in paddocks?
Yep. Yeah. I leave them on their mums and do all this initial stuff. I just find that's easier.
Yeah.
Some of the bigger places, they might be, needing to get large groups of babies off their mums pretty quick. So they might do where they just take the foal off and they'll start handling the foal in a stable or whatever, and that's fine. Like if the end result is the same, I don't think it matters. But I've just found that the way that I'm doing it now, I'm like 51 and
21.
I don't need to be fighting with young horses. And I used to do it where we would just go cold turkey and put them in a stable, and then you're having to get into that stable with a horse that's basically only seen you a few times and you're expecting them to, and they'll come straight away, they want to be your friend, and then there's others that you'll just have big fights with, and I'm too old to fight.
Yeah, no, I think it's great insight. I really appreciate it. I don't think it'll be the only stage I do here with Rhiannon Park, and it won't be the only stage I do with other farms. People saying, "Oh, we do it this way" or whatever.
Yeah.
Please get in touch with me.
I'd love to see all the other people's ways as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's one thing I will do, and we probably will get ourselves a bit more organised next year, that we can come and actually physically talk through as you're doing it, even just listening to how you go about it. It was one of those, Blanche, basically it was 2 weeks ago, I think you suggested to me about doing it, and it's a great idea. The one thing you will do, you didn't want to have your dirty jacket on for this, but did you notice what jacket you had on in the footage?
Yeah, look at that, the hero jacket.
You got the hero one on here, but you had the dirty one on for the other video footage. We'll have to have you in a clean jacket as well for that.
Right.
Blanche, thank you. Love everything that you guys are doing, and I love the openness, and I really do appreciate you entrusting me with this. Hopefully we can get it all to work properly, but I really do appreciate it, and I think thank you very much.
No, thanks a lot, Paul. Thanks.